Innovation Rockstars. Innovation Rockstars.
Today on our Innovation Rockstar stage, Sanjeev Mervana from the multinational technology company Cisco.
Hi, and welcome back to Innovation Rockstars. My name is Chris Müroth, and in this episode I am excited to welcome Sanjeev Mervana from Cisco. Now, Cisco is an organization where, in my personal opinion, innovation and leadership come together in an exceptionally good blend. So that is why I'm excited to welcome Sanjeev, who is Vice President Products, Emerging Technologies and Incubation. Well, that's quite a lot. Sanjeev, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I'm equally excited and speaking to you. So thanks for the opportunity.
All right, so let's get this started. We start straight away, as always, with a short 60 seconds introduction sprint, all about you, your career, and your role at Cisco. For the next 60 seconds, the stage is all yours. Let's go.
All right. So I've been with Cisco for some time, always have been in different product families, always looking at new areas of innovation. Last couple of years, we have been focused extremely heavily in incubating few of the products within this group called Emerging Tech and Incubation, where my role is to head products. Very excited, and I come from a very diverse background. I don't think people even know, but I have moved around in different parts of the world. I started my career in India, moved to Africa, and then to US. And Cisco has given me a fantastic opportunity to work with this cutting edge technology. So always very thankful for that.
Wow, now that's cool and on point, 55 seconds, that's a great sprint. Okay, now here are 3 sentence starters for you, and I would like you to complete those sentences. So let's see. Number 1, for me, thinking bold means...
Thinking really bold. Bold means growth. Bold means innovative. Bold means disruption.
Wow, big statements. Okay, beautiful. Number 2, one thing nobody in corporate life knows about me is that
I come from Africa.
Good one. Okay, and finally, number 3. Recently, I changed my mind on...
I changed my mind on a lot of things, but recently I changed my mind that I need to be running half marathons more frequently than less.
Oh, wow. Yeah, keep mind and body in good shape. That's important, specifically in these days. I can 100% relate to that. All right. Okay. Well, thank you for the great statements. Now let's put first things first, right? Let's start with Cisco. Sanjeev, can you do a quick tour of Cisco? Can you tell us about Cisco as an organization, how it is structured, and how it operates on a high level?
Yeah, I mean, Cisco has evolved over, and we are constantly evolving. I think the way you would look at it is we have our strategic pillars, which drives our strategy. We have a very inclusive culture, which is one of the biggest driving factor within the organization. It's an organization with 70,000 plus people all over the globe. And, like I mentioned, the conscious culture is a very big part of it. But along with that, our line of businesses where we are doing our core business or where we are innovating lately has been purely transformational. Our businesses is spread across multiple key areas right now. And we are on a journey for doing a software transformation at the moment. So that's where Cisco is really heavily focused on.
Yeah. And it obviously sounds like a huge transformation process, right? If you will. Now, with new technologies and business models that can create new markets or disrupt existing markets, as we all know, far-reaching transformation processes are inevitable. And I know this is quite a big question, but I'm curious to understand how you think about this. How does Cisco prepare for such a massive change?
I think this is part of the culture itself, and the markets what we are going after. Just like I would touch upon how the emerging tech and incubation group was created with that notion that we want to look at where be more about the market creation. How can we start looking at trends, market trends, as well as what we hear from our customers and partner communities, which plays a key role into driving some of those innovations and what we are bringing to the market. So it's not a singular thing, but we always listen to our customers and partners. We are listening to our employee base, as well as we are looking at the trends in the market, which allows us to kind of think about how we should take different transformation steps. And for example, what we are incubating in this group.
So it's a lot of sensing, external signals of change. And, one of the complex things, I guess, is that you need to put all of this into context, and be informed by strategy, but at the same time also inform strategy proactively as well, right? And just recently I talked to Bob Petrie, who is a seasoned entrepreneur and innovation professional who successfully built a series of companies and ran an EAR team. He's now running innovation at City Ventures, which obviously operates in a highly regulated industry. Now, I asked him what, in his opinion, is the number one issue with innovation these days. And he said that, if innovation efforts are disconnected from strategy, then this is at best problematic, but at worst, pure innovation theater. Now, at Cisco and as vice president, you lead the teams in sourcing, generating, screening, and managing new innovation and incubation ideas that ultimately fuel growth, and in particular, product-led growth for Cisco. And the aim is obviously nothing less than to establish and advance the next bold bets for Cisco. Now, when we talk about those bold bets, Sanjeev, how can you make sure that you are not too far away from strategy, given that Cisco obviously is a multi-product organization with so many great products and markets you serve? How could you possibly align with strategy?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. And like your previous guest mentioned, I think it's very critical to be aligned with the strategy. You cannot, try and drive innovation without knowing what your strategy is. So it's very critical. When we start looking at it, it's not that there is only one group within Cisco which is innovating. Everybody, like I said, everyone, every core businesses, every business which we run into, there is innovation happening. But there are different ways of thinking, especially the group where we are in. And, obviously we are aligned very much to the strategic pillars which I was talking about. And keeping in mind, we are looking at software transformation. The way we would start looking at it is purely from a degree of separation. Okay, so we want to ensure that we tend to look at markets which may not be mature right now and which may be, just very nascent. And we would look at both market as well as the time horizon, how much time it would take to even materialize that particular market materialize. So we look at it from a degree of separation to our existing businesses to ensure that we are incubating into projects which can become or the next growth areas for the company. Now, this, if we do not have the right strategy or the right focus areas, we could be doing a lot of different things. Yeah. And in sometimes that's also important. So we do have a couple of focus areas where we heavily emphasize our incubation around. One is around modern applications, the other one is around edge. But we also look at things which has even not materialized. So something beyond 5 to 7 years kind of a horizon. And we do tend to look at those areas like quantum and sustainability, which is included right now, but we are looking at how can we play a big role in that area as well. So
And
strategy is very
yeah,
important as part of how we incubate.
Of course, and you have the timing perspective, and then there is an assessment, right, on emerging technologies and how nascent, how far out is a possible application in products and services. And there are many emerging technologies out there, of course, yet, focusing on technologies only, obviously, most certainly will make you fall into the solution seeks problem trap, right? So that's why, as you said, you always need to scan the market and the corporate environment for signals of change, understand problems and needs that can be solved, and so on. Now, talking about those technologies and the solution seeks problem thing, there is one thing I'm particularly interested in. So one of those emerging technologies is the metaverse, right? And yes, it's a buzzword right now. And it's interesting because I feel it is kind of the same as when a few years ago, everybody was talking about artificial intelligence, how it will take over the world, and so on. So yes, metaverse is a hype term too. Now, given your broad range of products, specifically in the collaboration space, take conferencing, WebEx, phones, and so on, I assume that there is a whole new category of opportunities emerging for you, right? Like how to collaborate and work in the metaverse. Is this something you guys are exploring?
So, the way we are constantly innovating on the pandemic, if pandemic has taught us one thing, is the hybrid workplace and how it is evolving. It's a massive space. And like you outlined, we are doing a lot of cool stuff within our collaboration portfolio. Now, as part of that, right, we have introduced a lot of new functionalities into the market space through our WebEx tools. And we are constantly innovating around that, which requires, how do we take augmented reality? How do we take holograms? We have been talking about holograms also into that. How does virtual reality play into that space as you start collaborating and so forth? So it's very much integral part of what we are thinking about. But I would say one thing, right? It goes back to the basics that there are certain technologies which is really cool, maybe way early than what our customers or partners can consume. There are early adopters, but you got to time it well, and you got to ensure that you're not creating a technology for the sake of technology, but it specific problem in our customer environment, and that's fundamental in whether it is metaverse or collab technology and so forth, whatever we look at.
Exactly. Yeah, 100% agreed. And now let's put this in context with bold bets at Cisco. And by the way, only the ones who watch the video right now can see your hoodie. It actually says Cisco bold bets. I love it. That's great. Now, on those bold bets, how are bold bets different from things you did in the past? How do you differentiate something, being a bold bet versus being just, and I put just in brackets, right, in quotes, just a product improvement?
Yeah, so the whole program, first of all, it's an always on program around the specific areas which I highlighted. And we feel that, all the employees, they touch the customers, they are working in their own environments. So sourcing the different ideas from all of this employee base, our partners, our customer base is a critical part where a specific idea could come from. So this program basically goes and vets those ideas into those categories and sees, it looks at it from both the market as well as the technology feasibility perspective. We would go and incubate, like I was highlighting earlier, ideas which can allow us to be differentiated into the market space. It may be something which is 10x better than what it is out in the market, and that's where our group is focused on. So there is a combination of both the business as well as the technology aspect and the market aspect, which was not what we had done in the past before we initiated this program. Also, the sourcing of the ideas was from a limited set of people. This allows our entire employee base. It also allows our partner community, our customer community to join and share some of those thought process and be part of the journey. So that's why it's different than what it used to be.
All right. Well, that is super interesting. So you open up both internally and externally, providing or giving everybody a voice and let people know that they can really make a difference. Yeah. Okay. Now, when you do that, you may run into an issue that will, get you hundreds or even thousands ideas from employees around the world. And then you have that, right? You open up a plethora of possibilities and channels to source from, as we discussed before, employees, partners, customers. So, Sanjeev, is there a good way to not get overwhelmed by the amount of ideas you get? And if so, how could you approach that?
Yeah, we learned that the hard way. Absolutely, right? So yes, absolutely, and that's why the focus area or the themes within which the problems what you are trying to solve, the kind of if you provide those guardrails for those ideas to be sourced from, or the challenges you need to be sorted out, then it becomes very meaningful. You have employees, partners, etc., all focused around solving a specific set of problems, but they all provide different solutions. And that gives us a much better way to pick the needle from the haystack to see, hey, what could materialize, what could be impactful down the line from the business point of view.
Yeah, understood. And yeah, that's a good way to solve that. And I would love to talk about some of the details of the program. But before, Sanjeev, let's play a quick game. And the game is called Either Or. So the game is really simple. This is how it works. I will give you two options. You choose one of them and then maybe spend 1 or 2 sentences each to briefly explain your choice. So let's see what happens. And the first one is actually a much debated issue. What, in your opinion, drives innovation more? Is it market pull or technology push? And why do you think so?
Both.
I knew both. You were saying that.
Yeah, because it's not one or the other, right? Yeah. They are both has to work in tandem. You can do a lot of research into a technology area, but that research is only good if you can apply it to a specific market and how you can cultivate that market.
Yeah, I was actually hoping you would say that. So that's great. Okay. The next one is a rather personal one. So are you either a night owl or an early bird, and why?
Night owl.
And why?
I work really late at night, and then getting up early is not my trait. So, and usually, I mentioned about my running, etc. I try to do evening, so it helps me. And then, I think that's how I've grown up.
Got it. Okay, well, that's how you operate. Yeah. Okay, interesting. And finally, Sanjeev, would you either stop working in the field of innovation or stop working at all?
I think I would not stop working at all, right? Yeah. Innovation is one thing that you constantly need to, and it's not like, okay, this week I'm going to spend time on innovation. That's not how you can think about innovation, right? It has to be part of your culture. It has to be ingrained, and you cannot formulate either you are thinking in that terms or you are not.
Yeah, that's the simple truth, actually. You know what? It's funny that you say that because just recently I heard a business leader saying at the end of the business year something like, oh, well, this year we got innovation done. Now what's up for next year? And I was like, dude, really? I mean, that's not how it works, right?
Exactly.
Obviously, it's about building capability muscles in a continuous manner and incorporating that into the culture, but you're not done with innovation, right? Yeah. Okay, now having said that, obviously, I guess there needs to be some sort of process that individuals can follow. And when we talk bold bets, is there a process that the ventures follow? And if so, how does it look like?
Yeah. So we, at a macro level, we have 2 or 3 key milestones which we go through, right? So obviously, the first step is all about ideation, where we are filtering the different ideas, figuring out, hey, can these ideas be validated both from a market as well as a tech feasibility perspective and so forth. And once we have thought through those areas, then we tend to work towards building an MVP to just test the waters in the market, because you cannot do a paper analysis unless you go into a specific environment, just like any startup does. So we follow a very venture-led model or a startup-led model where you have set of ideas, but then you need to go and prove the product market fit of that MVP. And proving that product market fit, basically, we work with what we call it as design partners who either co-innovate with us or joins the journey and are facing the same critical issues. Once we have established that we can get insertion and prove the product market fit by having a repeatable use case, then the step of either we commercialize it or either we bring it to market through our existing channels. That's how we would move these ideas along. That's at a macro level. 3 steps: ideation, product market fit. Ideation, you can also call it idea market fit, because we need to look at it both from business as well as tech. Idea market fit, product market fit, and then we look at how do we abstract value once we have proven the product market fit.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually very interesting. So does that mean that the sensing and scouting activities are actually not part of the process?
It is in step 1.
Are they?
No. It is in step 1.
Okay,
because
interesting.
You cannot build an MVP to test a product market fit unless you have done all that scouting and testing, done the market research of which area you want to go after. We have to, like I mentioned, right? We have very simple methodology. Either are there other players in the market who are doing the similar thing? Can we differentiate ourselves and change that idea? Can that idea be 10 times better than what is out there in the market? That's the starting point, but that happens in the first stage.
Okay, so with this, you're making sure that those activities are also focused, not too open, just scanning the horizon, but rather directed towards that specific idea or the venture you're after. Okay, got it. So, now we got culture, process. So what about the people? I mean, it's a challenge, right? How do you find the right people to work on bold bets on the ventures? And are they being appointed to this, or is their participation rather, voluntary? How does it work?
Yeah, I think having the right skills, both from the sourcing of the ideas, how you're working with the market or the startup community or the VC community, as well as the technical skills to build something. It's one thing to think about something, and the other thing is to build and actually go. So it's never an easy thing. Like the rest of our peers, we always face into that challenge around having the right skills. But we have been quite lucky enough to be able to attract the right talent, from different areas, both from a business as well as a technology perspective. But it is a challenge for sure.
Yeah, and what keeps people motivated to take part in the bold bets program, do you provide some incentives? Why do people, still participate?
Yeah, we definitely have incentive schemes for our employee base who may participate, work in different stages of this program, as well as we have some incentives for our partner community as well, where, for some co-innovation, some ideas they bring in, we have part of their innovation challenge, which we run on a yearly basis with our global partner community as well.
Yeah. So
those are monetary incentive. So there is a monetary incentives. There is an incentive around, what we call it as a rotational team. So people get to spend some time in a specific area. So that can address the personal aspect if somebody is trying to build their skill set and so forth, as well as there are, we give away some of these hoodies to people who are participating, right? So there are swags as well to who participate. So there are different level of incentives depending on which stage you are at.
Okay, and do the incentives increase over time? Say, do you, for example, apply metered funding so that the further you get in the process, the more resources you get?
So we are still part of Cisco, right? So the funding is absolutely for taking an idea up to a certain level. We also want to make sure that we approach what we call it as a flash team approach. Now, the flash team approach is a very similar to like how movies are made. You have a specific goal and an objective of what that movie needs to do. You bring different skills and the incentives are aligned towards those different skills. But you are not building a huge organization to deliver that small thing. So I think the funding model varies based on where the projects are and at what stage the projects are and so forth.
Okay, understood. And, there is one specific challenge I heard from, in the past from organizations that, in year one, participation rate is really high and year two, the same thing, but then, engagement rate starts to drop by a lot. So can you think of any good ways how you can keep engagement rates up over the years?
Yeah, we do tend to run into that where the level of interest, because sometimes, not every project will go through. So there is always, how do you ensure that you constantly motivate and have the folks participate into these programs? We tend to do a few things which has worked for us, but obviously it's not, we haven't cracked the formula 100%. It's a roller coaster, but the way we do it is to keep the teams motivated. Like I said, right? We run targeted challenges, and that allows different teams from different groups to come together. We also kind of showcase some of that innovation within the company profile, even if we are not taking that idea further by having what we call it as an open mic. We bring all the different folks involved. They can share their idea, they can share their learnings, and all of the ideas, they basically are some of them helps us drive new patents. Some of them are just the ideas are stored into the library. So if I have some other idea, I would go through the library and figure out, hey, did somebody think through that and could leverage from that? And then I could, if there is a connection, then I could use that person into my flash team and so forth. So there are different ways how we keep them constantly engaged.
Which is, I guess, utmost. Which I guess is utmost important, right? So it's a lot about communication, and communication.
Exactly.
And I happen to know that Cisco has probably, one of the finest leadership cultures on the globe. And I think I can say that because I have been working with a lot of Cisco folks on very different occasions. So in your opinion, Sanjeev, to what extent is excellent leadership actually a driver for innovation? And what does it take to be an outstanding leader in this fast-paced environment?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail there. Like I mentioned earlier in the beginning, uh, our conscious culture and our entire executive leadership team who takes, whether it's something to do with personal, how to bring the community, whether it is innovation, whether it is the market. That whole culture within Cisco is very unique, and it starts from our CEO down, our chief strategy officer, our boss. It really starts from there, and that's what fuels the growth, what you see within the company as well.
Yes, 100% agreed. And it, what do you think? Is there a good way to identify the right leaders and put them into those key positions? I mean, are they just bubbling up because you notice they have the right mindset, experience, toolbox, and so on? Or do you specifically scout inside the organization? So I've seen organizations having internal scouts specifically for strategy, leadership, transformation, innovation positions, and so on. How do you do that at Cisco?
Yeah, there's always that scouting, and again, depending on the type of projects you are running into, you require different. Either it is an entrepreneurial skill set, depending on where the project is, or sometimes you just need the technology skill set to actually make the tech the differentiated piece. So depending on that, there is always internal scouting. We also have folks working across different groups. So even though this is within our group of emerging tech and incubation, does not mean we would not partner with the other groups within Cisco. We absolutely do that because there's no one place where you have all the resources or skills. And this is exactly why we would go and partner with our partner community as well, or our customer community to actually co-innovate and make them part of the journey as well. Because, this can't be done single-handedly, right?
Yeah. Okay, so wow, Sanjeev, that was a ton of experience in the past 30 minutes. Thank you. So let's try to summarize. What are the 3 key takeaways you want the listeners to take away from this episode?
I think, first and foremost, right, Cisco as a company, we are really transforming, and, the kind of innovation and incubations we are doing is really not heard of. And I would really like the listeners to kind of look at some of the innovations or the incubations we have done. Specifically, the group where I am sitting in, we have put a couple of those innovations or a few of those innovations in the marketplace already. So definitely go and check it out, Emerging Tech Incubation, so eti.cisco.com. The second thing I would say is, like I mentioned, we cannot do this alone, right? Join the journey. Either become a design partner if you are a partner or a customer or someone who are facing the similar challenge or for the incubation we are, then, join the journey, sign up for the free products, or become a design partner. And last but not the least, Cisco is always hiring. We are always looking for the right talent. So please go Cisco's career, .cisco.com, and I'm sure you will find tons of opportunity where you can get an opportunity to learn with similar mindset in the company.
Yeah, and you know what, Sanjeev? To be honest, I heard a lot of great feedback of Cisco being a great place to work.
Yes.
You are. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You are, for a good reason. So, okay, now let's talk about the future. Let's look ahead. What can we expect from you, ET&I, or bold bets in the near future?
I think so. Like I mentioned, right, we have just introduced a couple of our incubations in the market. So we are going to drive a lot of user adoption towards that. But the journey does not stop. We have to continuously think through around, I mentioned a couple of key areas where we are heavily focused around. One is around modernizing the application itself. We have some assets, but there's so much. Our customers have just started the journey on cloud native. There's so much stuff to be done out there. So we are doing a lot of stuff in that specific space. We are all, and that ties not just the movement to cloud native, but how do you secure it? How do you modernize your application? How do you drive observability and so forth? So that's one set of area where we are focused heavily. The other set of area where we are focusing is around edge. How do you run application in a very limited set of resources? There's a ton of data happening at the edge. How do you run application and make the decisions at the right place without taking all your data in a centralized location? How do you drive data compliance and privacy, which is becoming so critical as you move towards edge? And how do you leverage the tools, right? You cannot use the same tools what you were using in a centralized cloud environment at the edge. So AI, ML tools, how can you make more distributed applications be installed at the edge and so forth? So those are key areas which we are looking at right now. And you will see a lot of information coming out of our group in the future around those two areas.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. All right. And, these are really interesting questions. Okay, so that's the future. Now let's briefly look at the past. When you look back on your professional career at Cisco, Sanjeev, what would you say was your greatest innovation rockstar moment so far?
I think I actually enjoy every day I go to work. It is like I was telling you, I've been with Cisco a long time. There are a lot of innovations, what we have brought, where we have helped the communities, where we have helped the customers. We feel really good about it, whether it was the high-end routers where I was involved, or the operating systems what we had brought to the market and how we modularize that, or some of the innovations what we are bringing to the market right now in a software-driven world. I think every day, not a single day is a dull day, I must say, right? And we are constantly challenged. Honestly, if there is no challenge, I would not be here either. Yeah. So you want to be challenged to drive that impact. And Cisco gives you that opportunity to be able to drive that. So I'm very fortunate, I must say.
Yeah, and if there were, no challenges at all, then it would be obviously very, very boring. So that's not how you would want to spend your time, right? Okay, great. Well, with this, I would say we wrap up this episode. Sanjeev, it was a pleasure to listen to you. Thanks again for joining.
Thank you, Chris, and thanks for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, and to everybody listening or watching, if you like the show, then leave us a rating or a review and share the podcast. And if you want to get in touch, simply shoot us a message at info@innovationrockstars.show. Now, that's it. Thanks for your time. See you in the next episode. Take care and bye-bye.
This was Innovation Rockstar Sanjeev Mervana, giving insights into Cisco's bold innovation approach. For more about Cisco emerging technologies and incubation, visit eti.cisco.com. If you would like to give us feedback on this episode, or know someone, perhaps yourself, who also has some thrilling stories or insights to share from the world of corporate innovation, just shoot us a note at info@innovationrockstars.show. You like the show? Then leave us a rating and recommend it to others. For more inspiring innovation stories, visit our website at www.innovationrockstars.show or browse through our Innovation Rockstars channel on all major podcast platforms.